In the distant future, on a planet far from Earth, there lived a species known as the HYNX. The HYNX were a predatory race, capable of blending into the environment around them with the precision of hunters and with instincts sharper than any creature in the galaxy. Their homeworld, Dura, was a lush yet dangerous place, where towering forests and expansive plains hid untold dangers. The HYNX were known to travel from one end of their planet to the other, surviving off the resources of the land and hunting the creatures that roamed freely. But what set them apart from other hunters was their uniqueness. They didn't just hunt for food. They hunted for the experience of the hunt itself. One such hunter was Zara. She was swift and silent, her body trained to move through the dense forests of Dura without leaving a trace. She had been trained since she was a child, learning the art of camouflage, speed, and precision. But unlike her kin, who preferred to hunt in packs or for large game, Zara had always been a solitary hunter, driven by an insatiable curiosity. She wasn't content with simply tracking and killing. She longed for the thrill of the chase and the strange satisfaction that came with testing herself against creatures more cunning than the prey she had been taught to pursue. It was during one of these solitary hunts that she encountered him, a human, alone and seemingly lost in the wilds of Dura. Zara had been following the faint trail of an elusive creature, a species native to the planet's farthest reaches. She moved swiftly, barely making a sound, her eyes sharp and focused. She had the skills to track anything, but it was a rare occasion when something truly challenged her instincts. Today, however, was different. The creature she was hunting had left only the faintest traces of its presence, forcing her to push her limits. But as she turned a corner and entered a clearing, Zara froze. There, standing in the middle of the dense forest, was a human, an anomaly in this alien world. His clothes were torn, and his face was covered in dirt, but there was no mistaking him for anything other than a human. His eyes were wide with confusion, and he looked lost. He was alone. Zara's first instinct was to assess him as prey. She had heard stories of humans, legendary creatures that had ventured far and wide across the galaxy. Their history was filled with battles and conquests, but they were also a source of fascination for many species. She knew they were a dangerous race, one that should be approached with caution. But for all their strength and tenacity, they were not suited for the wilds of Dura. For a moment, Zara observed him from a distance. He was clearly lost, his eyes darting around as if searching for something. She could hear his breathing, heavy and labored. His scent filled the air, and though she was trained to detect the scent of any creature in her territory, his was unlike any she had smelled before, earthy, unfamiliar, and oddly sweet. Her mind raced as she considered her options. It would be easy to approach him, to strike quickly, and take him down. After all, he was alone, disoriented, and unarmed. The thought of taking a human as prey seemed almost too easy, too tempting. She moved silently through the underbrush, getting closer, her body poised for the kill. But just as she was about to close in, something unexpected happened. The human turned toward her, his eyes locking onto hers. He wasn't afraid. Instead, there was a strange recognition in his gaze, as though he had been expecting her. He took a step forward, as though beckoning her, and in that moment, something shifted inside her. Zara hesitated. This wasn't what she was trained for. She had never hesitated in the hunt before, and yet, here she was, standing in front of a human, unsure of what to do next. "Are you here to kill me?" the human asked, his voice rough but steady. Zara was taken aback by his calmness. She had expected fear, panic, something more primal. But instead, there was a strange, quiet strength in his voice. "Why would I kill you?" Zara responded, her voice tinged with confusion. "You're not even supposed to be here. I could say the same about you, he replied with a grin, stepping closer to her, his eyes narrowing in amusement. Zara stood still unsure of what to make of him. Her instincts told her to strike. Humans were dangerous, after all, but there was something about him, something that made her pause. Something different about this human. Why are you out here? Zara asked, her voice softer now. I was stranded, the human said. I crash-landed here, and I've been trying to find my way back to my ship. Zara studied him closely. He wasn't like the stories she had heard about humans. Aggressive, territorial, always fighting for survival. This man didn't seem to have that same drive. He wasn't trying to dominate or claim anything. He was simply trying to survive. What's your name? She asked, her curiosity piqued despite herself. Isaac, he replied. Isaac Kane. Zara nodded, still watching him closely. And what makes you think I won't eat you? Isaac chuckled, and the sound was both surprising and comforting. You could, I suppose, but you haven't yet, so I'm guessing you have some other plan in mind. Zara felt an odd flutter in her chest, and for the first time, she realized what it was. It was hunger, not for food, but for something else. Curiosity, intrigue. Something in her was drawn to him, to his calm, his strength despite the situation, and to the way he was willing to approach her without fear. I wasn't planning on eating you, Zara said, her voice almost soft. But I don't know what I want to do with you yet. Isaac looked at her for a long moment, his gaze steady. You were hunting me, weren't you? Zara didn't answer at first. She had been hunting him, but not for the reasons he assumed. She had been hunting for answers, for understanding, and perhaps for a taste of something new, something that had always been out of her reach. She admitted, her voice barely a whisper. Then you've already tasted me, Isaac said with a knowing look, his smile widening. Zara blinked, realizing the strange truth behind his words. She had been hunting for food, but the human had tasted better to her than any prey she had encountered before. His presence, his calm demeanor, everything about him called to her in a way she couldn't explain. She stepped closer, her instincts and logic clashing in her mind. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was something deeper, something that went beyond the hunt. I'm not like the others, Zara said quietly. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel something I've never felt before. Isaac's smile softened. I think I know what you mean, and in that moment, everything changed. Zara, the predator, and Isaac, the prey, had found something unexpected. The hunt had been more than just a search for food. It had been a journey to understanding, to connection, and to a bond neither of them had anticipated. The days passed, and Zara found herself still by Isaac's side, guiding him through the strange, wild landscape of Dura. They worked together, their bond growing deeper with each passing moment. She taught him about her world, the forest, the creatures, and the ways of the hunt. And in return, Isaac taught her about his people, their strength, their resilience, and the lessons they had learned over countless generations. What began as a hunt had turned into an alliance, a partnership built on trust, mutual respect, and a shared desire for survival. Neither of them knew what the future held, but one thing was certain. Their lives had been changed forever by the unexpected turn their paths had taken.